And we're live. Woohoo!
Woohoo! Hi, everybody. Good to be with you again. It's 1400 or 2 p.m. on Monday, the 27th of April. And we're
That's too much math.
too much math. Well, that's all the math you're probably going to get from me today. Good to be with you again. We're glad you're with us and streaming this on Facebook Live. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about joy. But before we get there, I want to give you a preview of what's coming up on Thursday. Amanda, we have two special guests that are going
Yes.
here.
Special on a different level.
Special on a very different level, and I'm excited to have them. Our first guest is Dr. Michael Ernst, and he's a kinesiologist down in Southern California. Is a professor at California State University, Dominguez Hills, and the chair of the kinesiology department there.
Wow,
And
that sounds like a pretty big get. How'd you land him?
uh, it is. And you don't realize this, Amanda, but
Hmm.
I myself am a pretty big deal, and B, he was my womb mate. Uh, that's a good one, right? My identical twin brother is going to be joining us. And even better, I've got Christina Ernst Sullivan, who's our second special guest. She's a licensed and practicing marriage and family therapist and also has her MBA. And so crosses over between the corporate world and doing private practice for the health and well-being of people's minds and emotions and psyches. So the three of us, she happens to be my fraternal womb mate. And so
There
the
you
three
go.
of us will be here and chatting on Facebook together, namely about.
Jenny raises a good question. She says, how will we know it's really Mike and not just Steve on the second screen?
um, A, he'll have some smart things to say. So we know that's not me. And B, he's much better looking. Good question. So that it's kind of it's going to be fun. So we're kind of specialists are in our own areas. We're going to be talking about body, mind, and spirit, and how we care for our total selves during this time. So get the word out.
I like it.
It's going to be fun and
Yeah.
enjoyable and informational all at the same time. So
And I get to be here in case you guys start fighting as siblings. I'll use my mom skills to
yeah, I'm
intervene.
not sure fighting's going to happen, but we might go to some crazy places. So you're going to want to rein that in. You get the three of us together, and who knows what's going to happen. It's going to be fun. Looking forward to that. Let's begin then our time. I'm going to read from the book of Hebrews, Amanda. And in the very beginning, the writer is writing to a Jewish audience. We're not really sure who the author of this book is. It's not really Pauline. It doesn't have the same kind of makeup, and it certainly doesn't look like Paul's writings. The author isn't identified. It's kind of hard to say. So most scholars agree. We just don't know who wrote this book, but has been incorporated into the canon of Scripture, and we're blessed by it. The author is writing to a predominantly Jewish audience. That's why it's entitled Hebrews. And he's talking about the supremacy of Jesus throughout the book, and especially as our high priest, and as Jesus is compared to priests. But in the very beginning, in verse 5, chapter 1, the author talks about Jesus being elevated above or superior to or supreme over the angels, and says, to which of the angels did God say, "You are my son. Today I have become your father." Or again, "I will be his father and he will be my son." And again, when God brings his firstborn into the world, he says, "Let's all God's angels worship him." And speaking of the angels, he says he makes his angels spirits and his servants flames on fire. But about the Son, he says, your throne will last forever and ever. A scepter of justice will be the scepter of your kingdom. And then verse 9, and pay attention to how this verse or this passage ends. You have loved righteousness and hated wickedness. Therefore, God, your God, has set you above your companions by anointing you with the oil of joy. So clearly, to the writer of Hebrews, and it was a very common Jewish thought, especially in the first century, that Jesus was one who was anointed with joy. The Messiah would bring God's joy. The anointed one would bear the joy of God. And Jesus himself then in John chapter 15, as he spends his last night with the disciples, says to them in verse 9, as the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love. I've told you this so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. You know, it's hard, Amanda, to stay joyful in these times. And I just wanted to throw out this topic, talk a little bit about how we're experiencing the joy of Christ. So how are you and your family or those around you experiencing the joy of Christ?
Yeah, we've had a lot of conversations about the differences between joy and happiness and kind of the sources of those. And so we've kind of engaged a lot with that. Joy is kind of the deeper thing that even when life is hard or confusing, that there's still room for that joy where happiness may not seem as possible. But for us, one of the biggest things for my husband Tim and I has been kind of loosening our reins a little bit as parents. We tend to be fairly strict in some areas, and we try to watch our kids' sugar intake and their screen time and things like that. And so we've really made it an effort to try to say yes when we can. And so, like, if our kids ask for a treat right before dinner, we're saying yes more often than we're saying, no, wait, we don't do that. We also have really kind of tried to do some more movie nights and things like that and just be intentional. There was one day where everyone was just kind of stir crazy. And so we went and got out of the house and we just let the kids choose which direction we turned. And it wasn't
Cool.
a big deal, but just something silly to give them, some choice and control and see where we end up. But, that's kind of been some of the things for us.
So where did you end up?
I think we just ended up outside a random house and we just felt like, okay, we're gonna keep going before they wonder, what are you guys doing sitting outside of our house?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
There have been people on the internet and Facebook and other places that have been really leaning into and helping us experience joy.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorites that I found is John Krasinski. You know, John, he's an actor,
Yep.
most notably known for his role as Jim on The Office.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
now he's on a Netflix show. What is
Amazon show, I think
Oh,
Jack
Amazon.
Ryan. Hmm.
Yeah, John Ryan. Yep. And so he has put together a show from home, and then he zooms with others, like his co-star from The
Yeah.
Office, and oh, who else is he? Yeah, Stanley Tucci and
Yeah. He did the cast of Hamilton.
cast of Hamilton.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Uh, so anyway, the show's entitled SGN, Some Good News, and his daughter put together the poster, and it's really great. Anyways, he focuses on some of the good stuff that's happening around. So if some of you are interested, you could just Google Some Good News. It's on YouTube or also on Facebook, and you can watch his Facebook Live deals. Have you seen that?
Yep, that's what actually Tim and I, that's our weekly dates right now.
Oh, that's
It's
cool.
sitting and watching some good news together.
Yeah. Oh, it's really a joy. Really am appreciating his work there. The other thing we did, this was new to us yesterday, was go to a birthday party. Um, but it was a
Now, wait,
drive.
are you keeping social distance?
Yeah, it was a drive-by.
Yes,
And
a
being from
drive-by.
LA, being from
You
LA
want to
is a different kind of drive-by. Uh, Maybe I should use a different term for it.
Yeah.
But let's see. Aubrey Benjaminson turned 5,
Yep.
and Shane and Diana organized a what they call it? I forget. What do you
A
call this?
drive-through birthday
Drive
party is
through, drive
what.
through. There you go. Drive through birthday party celebration deal. So we did that yesterday, and we loaded up, me and Jeanette, and threw Nathan in the car and drove through.
Yeah, did a birthday parade is
Yeah,
what Laurel
birthday.
and Kelly are reminding
Oh,
us.
birthday parade. That's what.
Yes.
Okay. So they're birthday parades. They're not drive-bys. Those are totally different things. And so we pulled up, and I thought, this could be fun. But I had so much joy when I saw Aubrey, and we got to talk to her. Of course, she was outside the car, and
Yeah.
just the smile on her face, and then she did a little dance thing. She spun around and then sat down, then got back up, and then told us what she was doing. And we gave her a big old poster and some fun little gifts. And that, I just found a lot of joy in that.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what other things, kind of other things are you doing to,
Yeah. Well, one of the ones we were blessed last week, and Susie Nunamaker, who is like an amazing, she makes amazing food and baked goods, dropped off some stuff at our house, and she's been busy doing that a lot. She brought us some cupcakes that were in like little ice cream cones and some brownies that were delicious. And so we've been doing some of that too, making some goodies for people and doing ding dong ditch, ring the doorbell and walk away with and leave
yeah,
those there for them. And so that's been one of the big ways too, is trying to figure out some ways to look outside of us and outside of our home and be reminded there is still a world out there that people who we love and care about, and
mhm.
we will get to connect with them again eventually. And so it's a way to keep that connection up now.
Yeah. One of I totally agree. Having a focus on others brings a lot of joy.
Mm-hmm,
In fact,
mm-hmm.
I kind of get in a bad place when I am just thinking about myself, being selfish. I can't do the things I want to do now. You know, Walleye fishing. It's the end of April, and they're nesting, and it's just starting to heat up, and I can't fish. I kind of get depressed about that, or I can't hunt. Turkey season is open, should be open, and it's not. Or I want to see people, or hang out with others, or go to the office. But when we're thinking about ourselves, you can kind of get into some dark space. And you've seen people on the internet or social media, or maybe even talk to them, and they're in that dark space, thinking I can't and I want to.
Mm-hmm,
But when
mm-hmm.
we focus our effort and energy and our attitude and our thoughts onto others, there's a lot of joy there. And I agree. I've been putting together these devotionals for our congregation. I've been having some really great feedback, but I got to be honest, I'm finding, I think I'm finding more joy in putting them together than you guys are in watching
Yeah,
them. It's
yeah,
really a gift to be able to bless others, hopefully, and lean into this opportunity to share
yeah,
relationship with each other and do life together.
absolutely.
And
I love,
I'm not the only one that can do that. You guys can do that.
yeah, I love what Laurel, your words I think are so wise. She says it's important to acknowledge those feelings, kind of the harder ones, but
Yeah.
not to dwell on them. I
Yeah.
think that's a great balance where we have to acknowledge them. Otherwise, they're going to pop up in later unpleasant ways. But it's important not to just dwell on them either.
Which is so easy to do. I mean, I don't know if
Yes.
you're like me, but you get a thought in your head, and it's like you just kind of spiral.
Mhm,
Next thing you're
mhm.
just kind of some gelatin on the couch going, woe is me.
Yeah, yep,
That's not good.
absolutely.
So yeah, say, I'm absolutely feeling this, and God is faithful in the midst of it. I can give those
Yeah,
feelings over to him. And that's why I'm
yeah,
so excited about Thursday, because we're going to be able to talk to a couple of experts and me. They're going to talk about what can we do with our bodies and movement, and to help us feel and be joyful. What can we do with our kids? Uh, what
yeah,
where we can fix our minds? What are some practices we can do? And so I think I'm really looking forward to Thursday too, and
yeah.
talking more about that stuff.
Yeah, Pastor Corey reminds us on there. Yeah, for us, we as people, we get to think about what we're thinking about.
Oh,
We get
fantastic.
to
Hmm.
control our thoughts and things
Yeah.
like that. I think that's so great.
Oh,
One
yeah.
of the other things we've been doing is trying to just figure out some fun, light, silly rewards, especially as we're like, okay, we need to like just for our own sanity keep the house clean. And so for us, like if we're doing that, then we get to go maybe through like Dairy Queen for dessert or something like that,
Yeah.
or letting our kids pick out a prize for doing their homework during the week, because it's really hard to manage your own schoolwork. I've seen that especially with the teenagers and things like that. It's hard where they're basically not only teaching themselves because they're just not able to be taught, they're having to manage all of that coursework
Yeah.
themselves as well. And so
Yeah.
just rewarding yourself. Like I know, Steve, one of your favorite phrases is treat yourself, right?
That's not my phrase. From Parks and Rec.
Yes, yes.
Good old Donna.
Yeah. Yep.
But but it's true. Absolutely. And even doing things now that we weren't doing before.
Yeah.
I know you've been really good with your kids about limiting their screen time, but now that's the only way we socialize. And
Yep.
so it's, yeah, treat yourself to an extra
Yeah.
15 or 20, whatever, just so you can maintain that space. I want to pick up on Pastor Corey's comment. Think about what you're thinking about. There's a good little book written in it was either the or late 19th century or early 20th century. I forget the author, but the title is As a Man Thinketh.
Hmm.
And it's mankind, a person. So ladies, pick that up as well. And it is, Corey's so right. It's such a good reminder to stop and go, what am I thinking about? Sometimes I set my alarm on my watch or on my phone for every hour, every couple hours. And when the alarm goes off, I stop, and then I have a pad of paper and a pen, and I just write down the things that are on the top of my mind. And it's amazing some of the things that you're thinking about that you didn't even know.
Yeah.
And then you're thinking, well, why am I in such a crabby mood? Well, look at the things I'm thinking about. They're all crabby. And so it's going to
Yeah.
lead to that. So it's really important to be mindful.
Yeah.
And Christina will be able to help us on Thursday think through those things too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things that I've been trying to connect with some people that I don't necessarily normally get to connect with. Like
Yeah,
I mentioned last week, I got to talk with Laurel on the phone for a little while because we aren't walking through the halls at RLC and running into each other there.
right.
Um, we also this Thursday we're doing I'm calling it Sanity Night Live,
Oh,
with
fun.
for parents of with kids of any age. And so we're going to just kind of have a Zoom check-in and just see how everyone's doing and connect with people that are in a similar stage that we are, but we may not have normal interaction with. So,
That's great. That's great. Good stuff. Well, I want to encourage you folks to be intentional about joy and receiving from Christ's his joy, that your joy might be complete.
mm,
And so share those things that you're doing with us. You can post it here on Richland Lutheran Facebook page, or You know what would be cool is if you even put together a little Facebook Live and posted it. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
We'd love to hear from you as well. All right, so moving on, Amanda. What do we? This is called updates, announcements, and
Yep.
other random fun. So we've had our random fun. I think it's
Yes.
time for updates and announcements.
Yes. So, a couple things that we have is if you tune into the worship service yesterday, you heard our mail is up and running. Woohoo!
Yay,
And
mail.
so, yes, we are able to get mail now at the church. And so, feel free to be sending in any mail that you normally would, including tithes and offerings and other communications.
Yeah, and some
Um,
of you have said you've got return mail. Send it again.
yep.
They'll be holding it for us.
Yes. So that's great. Um, the other thing is Thursday night at 7 p.m. I'm really excited to tune in to Pastor Corey is doing living room worship. And it will be on Facebook Live after kind of some technical testing. That's the best kind of venue that he has landed for this. And so we'll be posting details about that. But just like you're tuning in now, you'll get to tune in Thursday night at 7 to see kind of what he has in store for us. And so I think that'll
Will
be,
he be posting that to Richland Lutheran's page too?
yep,
And
it'll be
sharing in the
posted
group?
here.
So just like
Yep,
this. Okay.
just like this. Yep. So if you got here, you can get here Thursday night for Pastor Corey's experience, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what he has there. And then also, as I mentioned before, we're doing a parent check in. And so that's for parents with kids of any age in the home right now. And we're just going to check in. There's not like a formal training or hardcore agenda, but just kind of see, what other people are doing to stay sane in this time and borrow and share each other's ideas and just care for one another. So we'll send that out. We're going to do that via Zoom. And so we'll send out that Zoom link again as well. But hopefully, you guys also parents got an email that we sent out on Friday with kind of a lot of that information.
I'm wondering, Amanda, if we're going
Yeah.
to have some special guests on Thursday at 7, like stories from Darth Vader
Oh,
or stories from Indiana Jones
mm,
or stories from a random Scott.
yeah. Or, have guest appearances like Rex, their dog, or something like that.
I don't know if you've heard this, but apparently Rex is quite the storyteller. So
Well, excellent. Then lots to look
we're
forward
in
to.
for a great treat.
Yeah, awesome.
What else do we have? I think that's it for us today.
Yep. Yep, that's kind of it. I actually, there's one thing, Laurel, thanks for the reminder. There's a free webinar tomorrow. This is another one for parents, but grandparents, you can absolutely hop on there, godparents, aunts, uncles, people that want to support families. Their Homeward is doing a free webinar about not just surviving in this time, but thriving. So I'll post that link in our Facebook group. But
Super.
it's free from leading experts in kind of this field. And so we're going to hop on that as well.
Sounds good. Okay. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you on Thursday at 2, right here again for updates, announcements, and other random fun stuff.
Yes.
Until
Extra
then,
fun.
yeah. Until then, God bless you and hang in there, friends. We
Yep,
miss and love you.
we
Bye.
do. Guys.